Hey everybody, this is Alan Fine, and I'm here with Peter Tobler, who is the Director of Food and Beverage for Windstar Cruises. We're on Star Pride from Athens to Barcelona. It's the inaugural of the new lengthening of the ship after a $250 million upgrade. And we're going to talk about all things culinary and what's been learned since the launch of all the previous ships here on Insider Travel Report. What's been learned? I mean, you have 6 ships. 5 were already at sea. We are now the 6th. And you say that you're continually experimenting and changing. So what's new here on this Star Pride?
Obviously, the food and beverage movement is continuously evolving at Windstar Cruises. So what we've learned since we met last time on the Star Breeze, which is as little as, almost a year ago now, is that obviously there is plenty of room for improvements and further evolvement as such. So our partnership with the James Beard Foundation continues to be of benefits to us. As a matter of fact, we just recently ventured into Southern foods as well, so we now have a connection with soul foods, and we had some very prominent James Beard Foundation chefs on board that allows us to further expand the global effort, not just the domestic US-based culinary effort, but on a global basis. So we integrated that into the food plan. The other thing which we've learned in recent days and weeks is that there is a prominent demand for plant-based foods. So we've now are in the process of implementing that across the fleet, replacing vegan dishes with plant-based foods. And when we talk about plant-based foods, we're taking it very serious. So I literally partnered with the National Health Association. And the way we're featuring it is SOS free. And SOS stands for no salt, no sugar, and no oils. And as a matter of fact, we took it even to the next level, no flours. So it's all based on natural, indigenous ingredients. So that is in the process of being implemented. In the meantime, we've also gained some large groups that are now cruising with us. Just this year alone, we just finished a cruise on the Star Breeze. While in Mexico, we have a very prominent group coming on of 120 people that are literally focused on plant-based only in August on the Star Breeze while in Alaska. And more cruises now have been booked for 2023 and 2024. So we want that to become a part of the overall culinary experience as such and open it up to everyone.
Well, I want to say just from my own experience, and I was at the Veranda, which becomes Candles, which is a steakhouse, and I came there to have a steak, but I was told about the dish that was a tofu dish, and I wanted to try it, and I'll tell you, I was in the mood for a steak, but that was a meal unto itself. It was wonderful.
We just recently made some changes to the Candles experience as well. And when I say recently, it's actually happening on this ship as we speak. So this is the lounge during this inaugural cruise, and the tofu dish is just one prominent example. But there again, we expanded it further by adding some James Beard dishes.
Yeah. Okay, so anyway, I interrupted you. And let's go over each of the restaurants and what you've learned as you've progressed. Where do you want to start? Well, Amphora is the big one. So what's new there?
So Amphora, besides what I just mentioned, was plant-based, and obviously our continuous partnership with the James Beard Foundation, we also diversify more when it comes to beverage operations, particularly wines and spirits. So I'm in the process of partnering with some very prominent winemakers featuring their wines. Some of the winemakers are actually Hollywood stars, if you want to call it that way. Yes. And they then obviously partnered with some prominent winemakers too. But they're heavily involved in producing that, and they're going to be prominently featured on the wine list as well. The same on the cocktail side, spirits. We're into coffee martinis now. We're into flavored gins, which is gaining in prominence. We're into kombucha tea. We're into non-alcoholics that really are high in demand now. So that's all being added as we speak.
Okay, let's move to the next eatery, next restaurant. What do you want to talk about next? Let's Quadra 44.
Quadra 44, Anthony Sasso and I developed the original version of the Quadra 44 a la carte menu. However, by now we've gone through revision 5, and I think we've pretty much nailed it. That does not mean that we're going to be resting now. Anthony is back on board again in October. And in October, we go through revision number 6, updating it again because we have a very loyal clientele that keeps coming back again and again and again. And obviously, they want to see some changes to that menu and overall ambiance as well. But the focus is going to continue to be family style, sharing. We want people to interact with each other. As a matter of fact, we want the entire room to interact with each other, including the galley team and the front of the house team and so on. And the wine list, again, for the Spanish restaurant is gaining in prominence as well. I just added Michel Roland, a very prominent French winemaker who is prominent in Spain as well, to the wine list.
It's the partnership sounds like it's a major part of Windstar's culinary. I mean, Beard, Sasso, also the Star Grill. Star
Grill with Stephen Reichler. I mean, it doesn't get any better. The objective was always to get away from your authentic backyard barbecue. That is very prominent in the US of A, and become a global destination. That whole Star Grill has to be a global destination. So we just recently invited Stephen back on board the ship again, and we started working on the updated version of the Star Grill menu, adding more global flavors. So we now have Greek flavors added to it, South Korean flavors, indigenous dishes added to it. So
every culture has a smoked meat in its culinary.
Every culture has its smoked meat, and obviously we want to tap into that. And then with Stephen's expertise, we're sometimes adding a twist to it, which is actually highly appreciated by our guests.
But the thing that my partner said, and I find the same, is that you could go there every day, and the menu keeps changing, the meats keep changing, even the smoking. You had mentioned in a previous interview that the wood is picked specifically for the meat. Can you talk about that for a moment?
Yeah, we originally, between Stephen and myself, we picked 4 specific woods, which we're now looking at changing again. We're not departing from it, but we're enhancing it. So it's not just that it is a single wood.
Well, like the backyard barbecue is a briquette. Listen to this.
Yeah. So it's not that we're changing the woods as such, we're enhancing it, and we start mixing it, which obviously adds a different flavor profile to the protein.
So it's cherry. What are the trees?
There's cherry, we have hickory, we have, what are the other 2? Alder. And the 4th one is...
and each one brings out a different flavor in the meat.
That's right. But it's important that we're adding the right flavor to it. So that's why we keep re-inviting Stephen on a regular basis so that we can change that profile as appropriate.
Any changes to the Yacht Club and the grab and go?
Yes. The sandwich selection that we currently have as a part of the lunch afternoon program is going to evolve as well. So we are adopting, again, more vegan / plant-based sandwiches as such. But at the same time, we're diversifying the mix as such.
And as if there isn't enough food and places to get it, you can always order room service all day long. Any changes to the room service?
Again, on the room service side, we now have a 24-hour menu. You obviously, every day you can have the amphora dinner menu in your room as well, course by course. Then we have an overnight menu. So for people that want to have a little nibble or pick on something at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, that is made available. And it's
I forgot about that late at night when I'm hunting and walking around the ship, that I could go back to the room and order.
You can. There is no midnight buffet on our ships.
There's no need.
There is no need.
All right. Well, so we're going out to 100,000 travel advisors, and they're going to be selling the product. And the product is intricate to sell. There's the Wind class, there's the Star class that cruises, and then there are different configurations and different suites or not. And then there's the food. So how should they sell their clients on the food?
I think one thing which I should have mentioned earlier on is the shopping with the chef as well.
Oh, it's a special program, like an excursion.
It's a special program, but it's not just limited to the shopping with the chef. We're very, very focused on featuring local, authentic foods. So we regularly go out in almost each and every port and buy some indigenous local items that we're bringing on board and feature the very same night on the menu, whether that is in amphora or in candles, depending on what it is. When it comes to fish, seafood, proteins, we might have it down in amphora, and we might have it as the catch of the day up in the steakhouse. But the same applies to fresh produce and so on. So whatever we bring on is prepared the very same day and featured the very same night. So that's a prominent program, and we want to continue to focus in on that and give the chefs actually the freedom of developing an authentic local dish that suits, our demographics.
Well, I hope we got you all very hungry, and I hope you're able to impart that hunger to your clients as they start to decide which cruise of Winstars they want to get on. Thank you, Peter, for talking.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure once again.
And this is Alan Fine for Insider Travel Report.